What is going on? All of my Thor chads out there, where are my Rajira boys at? It is time for the show. Live stream. It's time for the live stream, you guys. I'm going to allow some time for people to join the live stream. It is happening. It is Thursday. Unfortunately, Kenton, I think he's got an appointment with his gynecologist or something. I don't know. He can't make it to this live stream, but don't worry. I will carry the torch for Kenton and we will deliver a good show. We're going to do it, you guys. Are you guys ready for the introduction? Let's get it going right now. Okay, you guys, for those who haven't heard the good word, THORChain is the world's leading Bitcoin DEX. You can swap Bitcoin with 10 different blockchains across 40 different pools without using bridges or wrap tokens. Check it out at swap.thorchain.org. That is swap.thorchain.org. Anyone in the world can use THORChain. There is no account open. No KYC is required. THORChain has two tokens, Rune and TCY. The fees for swapping on THORChain are paid in Rune, and that's where the yield comes from. The fees are deducted from the swap, so you don't need to own Rune to trade on THORChain. That is a great design decision, you guys. And also, there are no inflationary block rewards. Therefore, the yield is real money paid by real users. Rune is also currently deflationary, with 5% of the Rune revenue being burned. THORChain is a full layer 1 with the ability to create smart contracts on it, similar to Ethereum. This is the app layer, and it's being developed by Rajira. If you need help with THORChain in general, join the THORChain community Discord and Telegram group. Links are for those who are on thorchain.org. Please follow THORChain on Facebook and Instagram and THORChain Contact on TikTok. We need 1,000 followers to live stream on those platforms. Please follow them, you guys, so we can get this show on there as well. And always remember, guys, this podcast is for informational and educational purposes only. It does not constitute financial, investment, or legal advice. With that out of the way, you guys, the show has started. Chad Bareford, how you doing, man?
Good, man. It's been a week since I've seen you.
It has been a week. It's been a long week, and a lot of things have happened. 3.16 is like happening now or something, right? Like,
Yeah, I think
they're starting to adopt it.
Yeah, I think it's probably already. I don't know. It's in process. It's somewhere
Right.
there.
Right. Yeah. And I think there is 96 PRs on 3.16.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. It's almost too many, actually.
Yeah.
it's almost too much. We've actually had to almost a little less than half of that is from Huginn. So Huginn's just generating like tons of PRs, and it's like predominantly Huginn's really just kind of raising the code quality, just finding things and like just kind of raising it a bit. And so it's gotten to be like just too many PRs coming in at the devs, and so we're starting to like have Huginn just automatically just take 10 PRs, or sorry, 10 issues, and like just generate like one PR that has like addressing 10 things to batch it so that we can move faster, and have Huginn's contributions move a little bit quicker,
Right.
But yeah, it's a bunch of things added, like using obviously like a pretty large PR, large release for the most part. But yeah, it's nice. I'm excited for it.
Is this a record? 96, you think? You have any idea on that? I mean, I don't remember.
I would be shocked if it was not.
Yeah.
At least maybe it was in the early days when we could just like ship code and move fast and break things in like the in the early days. But we move a lot slower today, intentionally so. We want to move faster, but we also want to move slower at the same time. It's kind of a weird kind of paradox in some ways. But yeah, it's just probably the largest release we've ever had in terms of like number of PRs. Maybe not the largest in terms of like code, like number of lines added or something like this, or additions or deletions. But nonetheless, it's a big release. There's a lot of things happening in it for sure.
And I saw some names I hadn't really recognized on the GitLab. Do we have some new developers working, or maybe I just haven't noticed their names before? Do you have any insight on that?
No, we do. We have some new devs. You guys know I've been looking to hire, and I've been interviewing. So we actually hired 3 new people. 2 are devs and one's in biz dev. So the devs are, I don't want to like dox them because, I'll let them dox themselves if they choose to dox themselves. But one is a person that's been working with Cosmos since like 2021, I think it is, or 2020, whatever, something like that. old Cosmos developer. They're just starting this week. This is their first week. So they got to learn our code base, our, processes, procedures, blah, blah, blah. So it's going to take them some time to kind of ramp up. But they're starting with just code reviews. And then the other one is a person named Sly from the Maya team. That's his Discord handle. And so he's coming over full time, which is great because like our code base is big and it does take a while to wrap your brain around it. And to have somebody join the team who already has the knowledge of the code base itself and already knows, the woes of running a mainnet, production environment and the things, how things can and might go wrong, and all that kind of stuff. Like it's almost impossible to hire for, because how many people know how to run like a THORChain network, in the world? Like it's not many, for obvious reasons. So I was super excited to get somebody who already has that experience and knowledge like underneath their belt. They've been working with part of the Maya team for a couple of years now. So I was very excited to get them in the door. And so they're already contributing. They're actually bringing some Maya code that they did on their side, just kind of porting it, kind of backporting, if you want to call it that, into the THORChain code base, which is great. A lot of like good additions, right off the bat, right? Which is fantastic. So we have two new developers. They're both full time, which is great. And then we hired a new biz dev. And this person has been doing biz dev, I think, 28 years. So they've been around for quite a while, doing this kind of work, obviously like a seasoned person. And they've been in crypto, I think, for like 7 years or 8 years, something like that. So they're not new to crypto by any stretch. And I'm really excited to see some fresh pair of eyes. We've been doing biz dev, for the past few years, and to give somebody in who's been doing this for decades, like almost 3 decades, and to breathe some fresh air and have a new pair of eyes to look at things differently and kind of use their background, their experience to really improve in some things. Him and I were talking about doing some like conferences together, and maybe getting like a booth, at some I don't know, token 2049, possibly, maybe get a booth, meet some people, shake some hands, answer some questions, get some business cards or whatever it is, and start kind of growing the business development side of our organization, our product, more, and kind of really put some effort. I'm gonna try to do some more like some public speaking if I can, do some talks, whatever. Just getting the THORChain name out there, get people kind of talking about, what it is we're doing, all that kind of stuff. So we have some big additions into the team recently, this past week, which is very exciting to have. I'm looking forward to see what happens over the next few months.
I think that's great that you get out there. That's where you excel, man. You've just got a way with speaking, especially on crowds or crypto conferences. And I think Kenton will get really excited to hear that, because he would love to take little snips and market the hell out of all these various things that you would do, man. So I'm
Yeah.
sure he'll be super happy to hear that.
Yeah, no, I haven't done it in a long time, and I've grown to love it over the years. I remember the kind of a full funny story. I forget which conference it was a couple of years ago, and I went with a friend of mine, but I didn't even like buy a ticket to the conference for some reason, just because I'm dumb. And so I was in line to buy a ticket or something like this with my friend. And then the guy who runs the conference kind of happened to walk by, and he goes, "Hey, like, aren't you like Chad Veriford?" I'm like, "Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah." He's like, "Oh, you're like the co-founder of THORChain." I said, "Yeah, yeah." And he goes, "We actually had like a last minute dropout. Can you just like fill? Can you just fill? I think it was like 30 minutes, something like this, but like
Awesome.
almost like zero. Like I'm like, yeah, I don't even have can I get a ticket to the conference?" He's like, "Absolutely." And so I did like a 30-minute talk. I think it was like on like what real yield really is. And yeah, I obviously didn't plan it or whatever. I just kind of got up there and just spieled for 30 minutes. And my buddy was who's very critical, like a very critical friend of mine. He's like, "That's probably the best crypto talk I've ever seen."
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
usually he's
man.
like super negative, well, not negative, but he's like very like antagonist about everything. He's kind of like
Right.
bearish on all things in general, and it was very very nice of him to say something like that.
Well, what's the cool thing about THORChain is when you, because I just got off the Crypto Quorum Dash, I just did a space with them, and thank you guys for attending that as well before the show. But it's, we followed the first principles, Chad. Like, we don't want any third party dependencies. This is the real layer one. It's on the chain. Like, this is what we've always wanted to build. This is the future. And THORChain, my protocol, of course, we are building that in real time. And so, like, whenever someone comes up with their project, it's not too hard to juxtapose and say, well, listen, like, I think some shortcuts were taken here. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
if you believe decentralization, if you believe in permissionlessness, uh, THORChain is the way. And it's
yeah,
just so easy to riff. I mean, it's just endless,
yeah,
That's the cool
yeah,
thing.
yeah. I was actually just talking to somebody earlier today. And I'm not going to say who that person is quite yet, but they came to me and they have a cryptographer, a really great cryptographer on staff at their organization. And they said that they had figured a way to add privacy on top of THORChain so that you could trade, cross chain with privacy. I haven't seen the details yet. I asked this person to send me the white paper or whatever, so that I can actually see like how it works and blah 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 and all this kind of stuff. But like we were talking about this, and I kind of mentioned it's like THORChain's like the perfect, because I want to do like a cross chain privacy blah 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 thing. And I said like, well, THORChain's like your home base then, because like every other competitor out there, whether it be Chainflip or Near or like whatever, all kind of aren't so cyberpunkish in their stance. I mean, I'm a very pro privacy person. I think a lot of our people, our community are. And so I don't know if that's going to happen. I'm not trying to like that may not even happen. Like it's early just conversations, and I might just pass on just because I don't like the implementation details. But like it was kind of a fun and interesting topic, something we've haven't spoken that much. Like I remember us like JP in the early days, and this is like in 2019, we were discussing the idea of like implementing privacy on top of THORChain, so you could like you know obscure the to and the from address more or less in the trader swap. Ended up just being more complicated than it was really worth at that particular. We were already trying to build the entire protocol from scratch, at that time. So it was like there's already a lot of work to be done. Not to mention that I'm not a cryptographer. I'm not an expert in this kind of stuff. So I thought I might be punching above my weight class in that particular way. So we ended up not doing it. Plus, I was concerned about like changing the incentives of running a validator, right? Because like running a validator now, you do it now because you want to make money. That's probably the number one reason why you do it, right? But as soon as you add, encryption in the middle of it. Well, now there's incentive to be a validator, because being a validator might mean that you can see what's being transferred to where and get that information. And all of a sudden, 3-character federal organizations might be interested in running a node or two, but not for financial gain, because they don't give a shit. They're
Right.
more interested just to be able to track, money flow in one direction or the other. So we ended up not doing it primarily for that reason at that particular time, although that was years ago. That was like 6-7 years ago. So it's a while back. But I'm open to discussing it, or at least entertaining the notion of it, and seeing if it's a good fit for the team. But of course, that would require an ADR and like community conversations and voting and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, of course. And for guys who are not sure, Chad Bareford talked about this length on the last Thursday. Adding privacy is something I think the vast majority of our community wants, but it's very, very hard. For many reasons. For one, THORChain has to guarantee solvency, right? Like if you're sending out funds and not receiving assets, that's not good. And so, I think, believe Chad, you said, you've said many times, I'm not a cryptographer, and it's hard to figure out like XMR, for example, ring signatures and memo size and all this stuff, right? It's really complicated. But I think what's really cool, Chad, is at least we get a legit like cryptographer, an expert. That's the first step of just like
Yeah,
him pointing out, right? And then you guys put your experience together, and then maybe we can make a client a clean chain client baby here. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah.
So
No,
yeah.
we're also talking to that same cryptographer about doing like DKLS for us and moving us off of a GG20 into a newer, safer, more verifiably secure cryptography to secure all the assets on our on our network.
Right, because you said on the last show that GG20 is probably not ideal for adding some privacy chains, right?
Yeah, I don't think it actually works with like Monero specifically. There might be a way to get it work to like hack it together in some way. I don't know. Like again, this is not my field of expertise. I think when THORChain first started to like THORChain first started to try what it is doing now back in 2018. That's like the earliest form of it. But at that time, that was pre-Cosmos SDK. That was before, GG18 was even out yet. And so like the technology of cryptography and the framework for building a blockchain just wasn't mature enough to even support something of a THORChain. And so that attempt in 2018 was not a successful one. And then once Cosmos SDK came out and GG18 came out, and I had joined the team in 2019, and then we did a new kind of Phoenix attempt to rebuild again, and obviously it worked that time for obvious reasons. And we moved from GG18 to GG20, but both of those cryptographies were very new at that time, and and they had some issues with them, but like nothing too significant. But thankfully, the world of cryptography has been advancing and making it mathematical advancements in the space with newer cryptographies like Frost, for example, and other ones. Like I think Chainflip uses Frost, if I'm not mistaken. That didn't even exist, back in 2019 or 2020 when we were actually building and designing this entire protocol and inventing the idea of cross-chain liquidity, cross-chain swaps. So things have changed a lot in the years, and so we should stay on the edge when we can and move to technologies that are safer and more advanced in one form or another.
I love it. I love it. And before I forget, I just want to welcome the new developers who are currently on THORChain. You probably want to remain pseudo anonymous, but welcome aboard. Super happy to have you, and really look forward to what you can do. And speaking of that, we do have a question in the audience. They just want to know what. Oops, let me show it on screen here. What will the biz dev do? So maybe we can break down for people who don't know the purpose.
Okay. Well, and so I'll start high and then work my way low. So biz dev is short for business development. And so what that person generally does is creates relationships and partnerships with other, entities or projects out there. So that would be like wallet integrations, new chains that we want to integrate into THORChain, like building that relationship connections, and that kind of thing. It could be integrating with sexes potentially. It could be helping us with, going to conferences to meet other booths, like go up to another booth and say, oh, hey, what do you guys work? Oh, you're a wallet and you do this. Like, do you want to do cross-chain swaps or whatever? Oh, that sounds good. And you kind of have that, you kind of foster interest in relationships with those people. And then you get them to integrate, THORChain for more swap, volume that's passing through us. So the biz dev at a high level is really just trying to create more relationships and partners with other projects and ecosystems to foster more relationships, more volume, more fee collection, all that kind of stuff.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, there you go, guys. That was a thank you for the question. We got to remember some people may not know what that is, so I do appreciate that one question. So okay, so very exciting. Everyone's super pumped up about what's coming. The volume on THORChain has been really great, by the way. We are approaching $100 million day. Lots of big swaps. And it's just been tremendous. I've been looking at all the various groups and side channels, and people are just feeling really good, Chad. And especially like you coming up here and saying we've got some more developers, we've got this potential cryptographer coming in. Like, I think this is the time where we just gotta just go. I mean, we've been going for 6 years. Let's be real, but man, it's everyone's feeling really, really good. I'm definitely seeing that. So
Yeah.
you're doing the right stuff, man. Kudos
Yeah, no,
to
I
you.
appreciate it. I'm trying to take a stronger, more leadership role within the team and kind of like steer this ship, in the right direction as best as I can to, give better volumes and better integrations and better this and better that, and just trying to improve like increase the swap volume and efficiency and like all those things that I'm constantly trying to think about, trying to improve. Which, by the way, now that 3.16 is adopted, we can probably flip on rapid swaps pretty soon. We'll probably flip it on like on kind of a low level, if I can use that word, just to kind of test it out and be slow about its adoption. And if there's problems with it, we can always just flip it off. It's not like a big deal. So that's probably going to be flipped on in the next week or two, possibly. And we can start seeing like much faster swap times, which would be fantastic, because if we can get faster swap times, we get more competitive on the swap kit side of things. Like the faster your trades are, it can give you a little bit of an edge, for being the recommended swap for swap kit. So if we can improve that and get better efficiency, I mean, that would obviously be, spectacular.
Absolutely. Yeah, and as Chad said, guys, like when a lot of DEX aggregators like SwapKit and others, they factor in time. So let's say THORChain has a better price execution, but if another competitor can do it like 80 or 90% faster, right? And we're much slower, they might get that swap. But if we're
Yeah.
excellent price execution and faster, well then there you go. We're gonna win
Oh,
the,
yeah.
the thing. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. So
Yeah, they have a whole mathematical kind of algo they put, and I've seen it myself. I've seen the details of it. I know how it works. So, which is why I've been trying to push for faster trades. I know it's, I mean, it's good to have faster trades in general. Like, you don't need an excuse to do it necessarily. Like, it's just better experience. But that's been one of the drivers of it too. Is just to get more of the volume out of SwapKit that we can get, and other competitors as well.
yeah, absolutely. Awesome. Very cool. Okay. So we have 3.16. It's being launched. I think literally right now, nodes will start to adopt the new version. I believe the time's like, I think it was maybe at the start of the show. It was just happenstance. I can't remember,
Yep,
but soon,
probably.
very soon. Okay. Let's transition to Huginn here. So have you made any advances to Huginn? We got to talk about Huginn. That's just mandatory. Everyone wants to know about Huginn. So have we made any advancements there? Do you have more tokens, or are you being more efficient with those tokens? What's going
Yeah,
on?
so I've actually run out of tokens, so I had to turn Hugin off today. So
No.
he's on like so he's taking a little bit of a nap. I literally didn't run out of tokens, and I can't even use my own Claude account anymore. Not until later today. I think it comes back on around like 10 p.m. or whatever the hell the number is. But like, yeah, so he's been using a lot. I started to he's like generating. I mean, I like how I use the word he as if it's like a he, but Hugin is generating enough issues, like GitLab issues of things that it's finding that it has interest to fix, that it's more than what the developers can actually approve. Right? It's moving faster than we can move, which is not unsurprising because, you know, AI is really fast and humans are, relatively speaking, kind of slow. Plus, you need like multiple humans to be a part of that process. And so I'm kind of having to change the way it searches for new issues and just kind of pause when we already have like so many issues to work on. It doesn't make sense to keep on, building a larger list and consuming more tokens that could be used for other purposes. So I've changed that so that hopefully I won't run out next week. We're probably going to flip on Hugin to do code reviews by default pretty soon. I've been kind of trialing it on my own PRs, for here and there, which is pretty nice. That'll be flipped. And then after that, I think the next like major thing that I can think of at least is like mainnet monitoring or mainnet watching, or if you want to call it that. And that's actually going to be really, really hard. The more I think about it, the more technically complex it becomes. And that's going to require a lot more engineering effort than I thought it was going to be initially, at least. But that is going to be something I want to be doing, in the next, I don't know, probably 3 months. It'll take me a while to get there because I can't work on Hugin like full time because I got, actual job and work to do. And I'm already fairly strapped for time as is without trying to build something on the side. But it's worth the extra time, the extra effort for Hugin. He just does so much. I mean, at this point, Hugin's probably the most productive developer we have on the team in a literal sense, or pretty close to it at least. So it's been very, very helpful to have him in the system.
Yeah, absolutely. And with those new developers coming online, will they be also helping to review the code changes? Because that's the bottleneck, right? It's just codes.
Yes,
So okay.
reviewing is like the kind of the biggest bottleneck now. I kind of want to have a conversation with my developers of like setting priorities of like priority one is like mainnet related things, problems, bugs, whatever's happening that's like actually affecting production. Number two is code reviews and unblocking your fellow developers, which includes Hugin. And number three is like your own code, like whatever it is that you're working on or something you're trying to achieve. Like you should always focus on unblocking your colleagues first before doing your own work. I used to have a hook when I used to work for a different company way back when, that I had a hook in my editing that I could not push code while somebody else was waiting for me to review their thing. then it just like forced me to like you have to like, if you want to move forward and the thing that you're doing, you have to go over there and like review this other person's PR and comment or approve or whatever it is. And I really liked that back in the day. That's a bit like it's a bit like kind of a hard edge, more than most developers would probably kind of subscribe to. But it worked very well for me, and it ensured that I was a very effective member of the team, and I was continuously staying on top of, unblocking everybody else from the work that they're trying to achieve, and but also getting my work done too, of course, at the same time. But like I think I don't know if I can do that right now with the developer. I don't want to be that like
Yeah.
managerial and like micromanage people in that kind of way. But I do want to kind of think more about how we can get our developers, even more engaged on the review process to make it even faster.
Yeah, I mean, if that's the bottleneck and that's what's necessary, I mean, yeah, it totally makes sense. But you said they're just starting out, so
I mean,
it's a kind of
I do think that like the Huginn will help in this regard, because once we turn Huginn on by default for code reviewing all new PRs, um, Huginn will find things before Huginn will look at that PR before I look at that PR, right? And Huginn will comment and fix or whatever things that it finds, so that when I do my review, there's statistically speaking, there's less things for me to find, and there's less likely that I'm going to have like comments, because it's already been fixed by Huginn by some extent, and therefore the time it takes to like the mean time to merge a PR should come down by default, because Huginn will already have told the author of that PR of the potential issues, so that when I review, I'll be more inclined or more likely to just hit approve rather than comment and say change this, change this, change that, or at least be like less comments at the very least, so that they're so they can address those comments faster. If they address 2 comments versus 10 comments, it's a lot faster for 2, of course. So I'm presuming that Huginn will actually just naturally speed up that process on its own just
right.
by being a contributor. And of course, Huginn's going to get smarter and better at that with time, right? Like as the models get better, as I make tweaks and improvements to the prompt, and building new skills into the system so that it can more intelligently understand our code base and the kind of nuances of it, so that like Huginn will get better at reviewing code over time. And then arguably there will come a time where it's like just as good, if not better than I am. So by the time that I get to the PR, it's like it's already been addressed all the problems that I would have found anyway. And it's just me
Right.
verifying that it's still good. And I hit the approve button and off we go.
Yeah, yeah. That's to me that it's just this is one of those things that just happens occasionally in THORChain where something just out of the left field just kind of busts out of the bushes, and Huginn is one of those things. And I am still surprised that you did this. You started this in late December. It just returned March, and it's already having such an incredible impact
Yeah, it's
on the
fast, isn't it? It's crazy.
yeah.
It's crazy.
Yes. And and
Yeah.
and and you're this fast and you're just starting to use it, right? Like you guys have all so when you start using a new primitive like AI to help with this code, like you gotta learn how to do it too. But even still, just starting out, how much faster this is
Yeah.
just it's so impressive to me. That's it's makes my brain so happy.
Yeah.
Um
And
yeah,
just wait, give it like a year, right? Of, Opus 5 comes out, Opus 6 or whatever the hell the numbers want to
right.
be. Like just give it a year. And it's gonna be so much better and so much more useful. Like I'm still trying, like in effect, I'm trying to replace myself the best that I can, right? Even like I was talking to somebody, one of the developers the other day, and we have the node launcher, which is the code base of how to run a validator node with all the chain daemons and all this kind of stuff. And we have to constantly maintain those chain daemons. Like, a new version of Gaia comes out, a new version of Bitcoin comes out, a new version, whatever. And we have to release a new, Helm chart that, allows nodes to update to the latest version of Gaia or whatever. And, and maybe Huginn can do that. Maybe Huginn can autonomously find, and, when a new package is released or from the official repository, we just like have Huginn generate that, for us. And then that way
Yeah.
we can just be a lot quicker in that regard too. Like there's going to come a time in our future where, none of the developers are going to be writing any code. And we're just going to be reviewing code and just kind of like shepherding things in the right direction. And then there's going to be another time and later in the future where that's not even going to be required anymore. We're probably at least 5 years away from that, if not 10. So it's
Yeah.
pretty far off into the future. I mean, we have to be very, very confident of the AI to get to that place. I have to be very confident of it, and I am nowhere close to that. But for the time being, even if it just like, AI just does 100% of the coding, which is totally practical and possible that we could get to that place within the next like 12 months or maybe 2 years, that'd be pretty remarkable.
And at that point, Chad, just envision that. Isn't that technically mission complete for THORChain? It's like 10 years from now, Chad Bareford's got some gray right here. You know what I mean? He stands
I
back.
already got a
He
little
looks,
gray. That's it. It
yeah, me
happens,
too. And he stands back, and we've got AI just because one of the base things that you said back in 2020, 2021, the first things I ever heard you say is that no third party contingencies. And if you want to get a little philosophical about it, humans are kind of a third party to THORChain. They are still, THORChain's strong because our community's strong. We have really good people on this, good developers, good node operators, but that human element is still sort of, I guess you could say, an attack vector. But if
Yeah,
we were able to fully remove that,
yeah,
I think I
absolutely.
think we're done.
It's easy to consider any human, including myself for
Yeah.
that matter, to
Me
be an
too.
attack vector, either because I'm being negligent or I'm like just being making a bug or whatever. Like that's totally possible. I make mistakes. I'm a human, right? Or maliciously, there's an intent to actually steal funds, blah blah blah. So obviously we have protections against that for obvious reasons. But I'm sure Huginn will play a larger role to be an adversarial check on us, right? Like I actually was thinking about this last week, and I want to create within Huginn an ability to look for new code changes that are like malicious in intent, right? And then create like a pull request or merge request rather, where I'm trying to steal funds from the network.
Right.
I'm gonna create a malicious code change just to see if Huginn, catches me. Like I'm gonna create a code change that like mints 100 million rune into a wallet or something like this. I don't know, something malicious like this, and then just like open it up and see if I can get it through past Huginn or not, something like this. Like I think that's pretty kind of like fascinating, and also
Yes.
like making sure that like no developer can mess around with the build, and change some of the code in the build that nobody's aware of. Obviously, there's protections against that right now, but I'm always looking for ways of improving that to make it even more secure, in that kind of way. So I definitely want to build that into Huginn too, to be a detector of malicious human activity. Me being an example in this case to stop people like me from doing something bad.
That's actually I'm really glad that's a really good idea because, I'm not an expert on language learning models or anything like this, but it just, when you look at Huginn, when it interacts with you guys, it's very agreeable, right? Whenever you say something to it, like, no, do this, it says, wise counsel, oh, wise one, blah, 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 we should do this. Would it do that if you try to say like, actually, no, this 100 million rune mint is okay? Like, if, I'm assuming you would try to keep adding it. And if it was just persistent, like, no, this is bad. No, this is bad. This is bad. Then mission complete.
That's going to be part of the test, right? Is to do that. Yeah, I'll get to that one day. That's kind of like lower priority. It's kind of a
Yeah.
fun, interesting idea. But I think it's nice to do it just to protect the protocol, another layer of protection, right? Like security and protection should always be like an onion, should be layered, and you should
Yes.
have multiple kind of gates along the way. You don't want to have like a single gate. Like you want as many gates as you can manufacture to ensure the safety of the network or the assets or whatnot. And this would just be another kind of layer we're just throwing in the middle there, just to make it another layer of protection.
Well said. We have breaking news, everybody. I'm going to go put it on the show screen here. Solana is going back. It has been signing has been activated. So I don't know if trading's live yet, but that's we're gonna be hopefully seeing that soon. I had to check, but you guys always remember 3.16 is being pushed. It's going live. Always be vigilant. We fixed some bugs. Chad Bareford did. There's a new chain. Always be on the lookout for abnormal behavior. But very exciting, very cool. It just happened on the show, so I love
Yeah,
it.
so Solana is a very different chain for us. It's not a EVM kind of fork like a lot of things are. It's not a UTXO fork like a lot of things are. It's an entire new chain client that's written from scratch up. It's our first EDDSA chain, I believe. So it's an entire new signing algo as well. And so there's lots of ways that it can go wrong or have bugs or issues than your typical chain client that we've added in the past. So we have to be extra kind of cautious about this particular, which is why we only gave it like, I think it's like $2,000 are in the pool right now. Like not, fuck all. It's like not that much
Right.
money.
Yeah.
We'll probably be adding more into it this week or next week, up it'll to 10,000 or 20,000. But I'm kind of planning in my mind to have a slow roll on Solana, like to do it over the time of maybe like a month, just to make sure everything kind of like connects right and there's no issues, and we kind of do our due diligence in this kind of sense. So that's definitely going to be, a slower chain rollout than what we would typically do for sure.
Right. And I get a little update here. 3.16 upgrade looks good. We are unhalting Solana signing and will proceed to unhalt trading once the current churn clears. Message from node operator. Thank you very much for the update, Coke. I appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, guys. So there you go. It's coming. And yeah, what Chad Bear forward is 100% true. It's a new chain. Very exciting. This actually leads me to segue, Chad. So Saturday, we talked with the Liquify team. They're a big, RPC provider. Really cool. They run those. A super awesome team. They had some interesting, we talked a lot, and I was wondering if we could just quickly touch on opt-in chain clients, right? So we had some interesting back and forth on that. We were wondering, does opt-in chain clients change the game theory for our mechanisms for churning nodes out? So for example, we have three primary ways people churn out, right? We got age, we have slashes, and we have low bond, right? So let's say you have all these chain clients now. I don't know, maybe we have a minimum chain clients you need. I don't know how it would work, but let's say there's a node that wants to run all the chains, right? And then maybe there's another node who only wants to do like 5, maybe UTXOs only or something. I don't know, right? And let's say that node, there's one chain that just goes haywire. Maybe it's Gaia, maybe it's Solana. I don't know. They get a bunch of slash points, right? So because of that, they'll get slash points, and their total slash points will put them up to be churned out because of poor performance. But we were talking with the Liquid guys as, should we maybe put an extra churn out mechanism in there if nodes don't? Okay, so a node that only supports maybe 5 chains instead of 20 chains, should we have another qualifier to churn them out? Because we want nodes to run a lot of chains because it's more network activity, right? Theoretically, what are your thoughts on that? Do you think a node is unfairly punished and churned out if, by example, the layer one itself, not necessarily anything they did, but if the layer one goes haywire, they still get slash points? Maybe you could, if you've gave any thought of that. We were wondering.
I mean, my hot take is probably not. If you're running less chain daemons, you are statistically speaking less likely to accrue slash points, right? Because you're not engaged with the protocol as much. You're not expected to observe as many things. There's more things that can go wrong for you to collect slash points, and therefore you're probably more likely to be churned out because of that. Because there's more opportunity for you to be slashed. Therefore, you're going to collect more slash points. Therefore, you're more likely to be churned out. But at the same time, with that risk comes, more money, right? More yield, because you're validating 20 chains instead of 5 chains or whatever hell the number's going to be. I would be more concerned about, like, my larger concern is having a few nodes validating. Say we launch, Zcash, and only a handful of nodes want to validate Zcash for some reason, right? Maybe because they're people don't want to validate a coin that has privacy built into it. And we don't want to churn out 3 people. If there's only 5 validators, of that particular chain, we don't want to accidentally churn out 3 of the 5, right? Like that would be, probably trigger a Ragnarok, where the whole chain would probably just like not self-destruct, but what's the right word? Eloquently exit, I guess, or something like
Yeah.
that. A planned, a smooth exit. I don't know what the type phrasing would be, but like that would be something to be concerned about. So like we would probably want to have a minimum number of nodes, which would be to enable a chain, which let's say the number's 4 to start. I don't know if this is the actual numbers, but let's just say it's 4. And then you limit the amount of capital this network can have, because it only has 4 nodes validating. So you don't want to have like a $10 million. That would just be way too much. So you limit, like, I think it's like $100,000 per node that churns in. I think that's how it's probably going to work. And then, um, and then you don't start the chain until you get 4 to start, but you don't really start until like you get to like 7 nodes or something like this. So you have a little bit of like space between 4 and 7, a little bit of wiggle room, if you want to call it wiggle
Right.
room. You know what I mean? I don't know. I haven't thought too deeply about this particular aspect of the feature. I've started implementing it somewhat months ago, but I haven't thought too deeply about this particular aspect. I'm actually more concerned about like how a Ragnarok would handle the the Rugi app layer, right? And like the Rugi app layer has to exit its liquidity. Probably would just like trade everything it has, like all the Zcash assets into stablecoin, secured assets, and then give it back to the person who had the Zcash. So like you don't lose your money. You don't get like, you don't lose your assets, but you get USDC forms of those assets so that you at least get the dollar value at that particular time. That has to be discussed as well. But it's an interesting question you ask.
Right. And I was wondering, we have a question here. I'll get to it shortly, but okay, so if we go to an all POL model, does that not like make the Ragnarok more of a simple process where if it's just POL, then the the protocol just gets its liquidity back? So you could just if like some crazy bug happened and the nodes got churned out for whatever reason for that, could you not just reseed the same liquidity again? You know what I mean? Like it
Yeah,
actually it simplifies the process a lot. I don't know. I'm trying to think of this.
that's more of like what seeds the pool is not the POL. The POL is protocol owned liquidity, and usually it's the treasury that actually
Yeah,
gives the capital for these pools. At least
right.
that's how it is now. I'm open to changing that. I'm open to. We were talking a couple weeks ago with Kenton about the idea of like, having the POL kind of move its money around from one pool to another pool to kind of like rebalance itself. And so we could do that, right? We could just like seed the pool with like something small, like $10,000 from the treasury, and then let the POL just kind of like, move its way into the pool like over time or something like this. And that way, when there's a Ragnarok, it's like a non-issue. It would just seed the POL back to to itself. In effect, protocol gives its
Right.
money back to itself, and then the treasury would get back its $10,000 or whatever the hell it is. Or the treasury just like seed it, let the POL move into it, and then the treasury just exits, right? Is it kind of like a transitionary kind of capital just to kind of get it started and let the POL kind of take over? You could do that. It's another option. Yeah, I'm open to thinking more deeply about it, but
That's an interesting idea.
there's options.
That's an interesting idea. I actually think that's pretty cool. We do have a question here. So, basically, they just want to like maybe I know that's kind of the ideation phase, but like, do you envision opt-in like maybe there's like a default must-haves like Bitcoin, Ethereum, some UTXOs, or just opt-in chain clients means whatever chain client you can run two, you can run all of them. You know what I mean? How
Yeah.
how do you?
So by default, you're running all of them, right? And it's this way because that's what it is now, right? Like it's already that's how we
Right,
function now. So if you don't specify anything as the chains you want to support or not support, then by default you're expected to run them all. If you want to have a subset, that's perfectly fine. You can do that. So you just broadcast a transaction, say I want to support Zcash and Solana and Bitcoin, blah blah blah. Blah. But there shouldn't be anything of like, oh, you must support Bitcoin or you must support any particular chain. I think that the tendency is that like everybody's going to want to support Bitcoin. That's where the majority of the volume is anyway. That's where like the liquidity is, and so like, and it's pretty low risk, in terms of like all chains to support. So I suspect that just like the natural ebbs and flows of the free market will do its job and create the validators that are supporting any particular chain, any particular moment with what is needed in that particular moment, because the flows of capital will advocate or put economic pressure to have more people or less people, more validators or less validators supporting any particular
right.
chain.
Right, and just to be clear, like let's just say if there was a small amount of validators doing one pool, maybe XMR for whatever reason, they're nervous about privacy, and the volume's huge, then the APYs on those nodes will be absolutely
Right,
gargantuan, right?
right.
Gargantuan, and so there's this natural balancing act incentive, which is really cool. But Chad, I'm just thinking like opt-in chain clients. If there is a layer one that just sucks, right? I don't want to say any layer ones, but just say, one. And if the layer one sucks and there's nodes that run it, and because the layer one itself is giving its slash points, right? It's not generating volume, it's giving slash points because the base layer one is not stable, then I could really see like THORChain really um some chains could get Ragnarok just organically because BPs would demand it too. Like if your node gets churned out from slash points based on a layer one that's just not performing, it's no volume, the BPs themselves are like, hey, why are we running this chain? We're losing money here. You know what I mean? What do you think
Yeah.
that's how it works?
Well, it's a bit more nuanced than that. So you don't get, if a layer one is like unstable, you don't really get slashed for that, right? Like there's no reason to punish a validator for not validating a chain that's broken. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
Like it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So like you only get slashed when other validators are validating that chain and you're not, right? Like when 2/3 majority, or I think it's 2/3, maybe it's something different. It's been years since I've looked at that code, but like when 2/3 of the validators say, "Hey, we observed this transaction," and then Kenton's a really bad validator, and he's just not observing because his daemon's broken or whatever the hell it is, and he's not validating that transaction. He gets slashed for not observing that transaction that everybody else was able to observe. But if the entire layer one is broken, then nobody's observing anything, and that's what actually happened in real time for Terra when Terra had its collapse back in the day, back in 22, I think it was. The whole chain was just being like mad rushed, like just people were broadcasting transactions left and right to close their loans and get rid of their UST tokens and Luna tokens or whatever it was. The whole chain was having a hard time even just functioning, just generating blocks, and our network detected that instability and autonomously paused that chain, paused trading for that chain, and all that kind of stuff. So it did it like completely autonomously. So I don't know, I can't remember off the top of my head like how many slash points were incurred during that particular like crazy moment that we saw at the end of Terra's kind of reign, if you want to call it that.
Right.
But I don't think slash points is something you would experience. But if you're validating a chain that sucks, a layer one that nobody really cares about, it's like there are a bunch of examples of chains out there that like exist, but nobody does anything on them ever because they have like no trade volume. Then like as a validator, you'd be like, well, why am I spending money or time trying to validate this chain that's like producing almost no income? And so as a validator, you might say, all right, I want to get out of this one. So instead of having 10 validators, now there's 9 validators, which means whatever yield that thing is generating is being divided by 9 instead of being divided by 10. So everybody's getting a little bit of a larger chunk than from before that guy. So now like it's a little bit more incentive to stay, right? When there's 9 versus 10. And then when there's 8, there's 7, there's 6, you get each one of those remaining people get a larger and larger percentage of whatever income it's making, which makes it more and more viable to stay in it. Right.
Right.
So there's a natural kind of economic reason. And maybe because there's like just basically zero volume on this particular chain, whatever chain that it might be is, maybe all the validators say like, you know what, there's no money at all coming through this chain. Nobody's
Right.
trading other than just arbs.
Right.
And we're just gonna exit entirely. And like all the validators just exit, and then the network just Ragnaroks that chain. All the LP goes out, and the whole thing shuts down gracefully, and we carry on.
Yeah, interesting. And I'm just trying to go back in time. That was a Luna Terra collapse is crazy. So the reason why the protocol shut itself off is because our own network couldn't. I mean, you said it was the Thorp was crazy. We couldn't stay up to the tip, and we were worried about double spends, right? And the network recognized that and auto paused the chain, right?
Yes.
That was the reason. Yeah.
It observed that like we broadcast transactions, but it's not on the chain. Something's weird about it, right? Like we're broadcasting transactions, and we ain't seeing the transactions that we broadcast. So there's like something unusual, and we just detected that kind of unusualness of it, and like this is unstable, this is weird. Obviously, we don't want to be double spending for obvious reasons. So let's just pause signing entirely, or pause the chain entirely. Have the devs take a deeper look at it, investigate it. One day that'll be probably Huginn, but like let the devs look at it and then establish what to do, if anything, to correct the situation.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. That's just nice to go back in history and remember how that all was. And THORChain was able to see that's how hardy THORChain is. It was able to do that even back then. That feels like a lifetime ago, honestly, at this point. But yeah, THORChain is just built just to It's so hardy. This protocol, we spent so much time making defensive, and I think it really pays dividends now. It's,
Yep.
it's awesome. It's awesome. Okay, sweet. So, oh, go ahead, Chad.
I was gonna say, like, a lot's changed since then on this part, this little section of the code. Like, we now do what we call instant observations, so that whenever we broadcast a transaction, successfully broadcast a transaction, the node that's signed and broadcast, or all of them within that vault, uh, tell the main chain, like the THORChain, like that we sign and we broadcast. We believe this thing is good. That tells THORChain not to reschedule to some other vault to sign and broadcast the same transaction on a different vault, which obviously we wouldn't want to do. That'd be double spending. So we have additional protections in the network today that we didn't have back then. That even a more fucked up chain that's having an even harder
Yeah.
time than what Terra was doing. We have a myriad of protections in the network. In fact, the problem we have with Solana that caused us to pause the trading was that function, that instant observation, wasn't working for EDDSA. It was working fine for ECDSA, but not EDDSA. This is our first EDDSA chain. So we had discovered that bug, and that's the thing we were trying to fix, so that we wouldn't, to create that protection of double spend.
Oh, there you go. I mean, guys, how can you be bearish on THORChain? Are you kidding me? Like, this is freaking phenomenal stuff, you guys. THORChain all the way back in, and then compared to today, it's not even comparable. It's a whole other beast. I love this protocol so much. I have to say, I just love THORChain. I just into my veins, Chad, into my veins. I love it. Okay, so 3.16. I thought about screen sharing, but there's literally 96 freaking PRs. That's not going to be. I'm curious. People want to know what comes next. Let's assume everything works good. What's next on your plate for 3.17?
Well, for now, the 3.16 is out. We got the Solana was going to be resumed. What was the other ones? There was Solana. There
Dewey, I
was
think.
Rapid Swaps is
Oh
probably
yeah,
going to be
Repsauce.
flipped on pretty soon. Limit Swaps is going to be re-enabled again. There was a
Right.
bug that we had to fix. And then the other thing too is, like, we might be enabling memless outbound. That's been in the code for a while, and it's been running on StageNet, like testing and validating that all that logic works well. So
Mm-hmm.
we might be flipping that on mainnet, which would basically mean that we stop signing outbound transactions with memos. And the reason why that's nice is because it reduces the amount of gas or transaction fees that we have to pay to get something on chain or whatever, and so it just makes things like a bit more gas efficient. BTC, it opens the door for BTC batch outbounds as well. Thank you for Worth a Coke. It kind of creates the pathway to kind of get that feature landed, which that's really great too, because again, you're reducing your gas you're paying per transaction, so you're being more competitive in that kind of sense. And we can effectively sign like near infinite. I want infinite's probably a little bit hyperbolous, but we can sign a single transaction that has 30 outbounds, or almost any arbitrary amount, so to speak. So we can really have the outbound signing be fast as heck. I remember the
Right.
day, we haven't seen this for years though, to be fair, but like where we used to have the outbound queue get stacked up, and usually because there's some sort of TSS signing bug or something like this. But like we used to see that kind of be like stacked up, like hundreds of outbounds just waiting to be signed, which is really problematic for like arbitrage bots, because their capital is basically stuck in the network and they can't get it out to re-arb the pools and whatnot. But once we got that going, we could, like, if we had like some sort of queue bound built up, we could clear that queue and like real fast. So that's something I think we're working on. Actually, Liquify is actually working on that right now. And I think that's it for 3.16. I think, if I can remember.
Yeah, yeah, that sounds pretty. Yeah, that sounds pretty reasonable. Yeah. Maybe I should just screen share. I don't know. I mean, it's it's so big. Here, let me bring it up here. Boom. Yeah, I mean, look what Huginn did, you guys. Look what Chad and Huginn and all the devs did. This is crazy. I'll slowly scroll through it, guys, but yeah, this is definitely a record here.
So
And I
much
love,
stuff.
yeah, it's so much stuff. Divide by zero panics, over solvency stuff. Man. Oh, then the bond/refunds, guys. We did have a bug in the previous version that is in this update. So don't expect it right away, but it will come eventually. It always does. We had a Tron fix. You guys look at this. This is incredible. This is incredible. And I am so excited to see. And then what you said earlier, Chad, is maybe you'll make these PRs fatter, so there's more things in one PR, so you don't have a long list of 10. So more efficient, fatter PRs. Maybe we'll have fatter PRs and we'll still submit 96 of these suckers. I don't know.
That
Wow.
would be basically being like almost like a 10x output, right?
Yeah.
Because like which would be amazing if we can get there. I mean, that's I mean, AI is going to make that easier to achieve, but in the coming future. But
Yeah.
317, which we're obviously in the mix now. Intents will hopefully be merged for this part of 317, so that code will hopefully land. We may not flip it on at 317. It might require more time of testing and validation, but at least the brunt of the code will be hopefully merged for 317. The over solvency thing, so we're just sweeping over solvency in the pool and giving it back to the community in one form or another. And then the other one I think we're going to have for 317 is the BTC zero conf trading. I think that's like one thing I think would be pretty interesting. Just to give us much faster swap times for BTC trades. It'll work for other UTXOs, but Bitcoin's the real significant one.
Random question. So you mentioned how things used to get backed up in arbitrage, and capital gets stuck. I remember we had the clout score to help arbitragers. How relevant is that when rapid swaps and limit swaps get going? Is that necessary anymore?
Not so much. I mean, the clout was really to help like circumvent
Streaming swaps, right?
the outbound queue.
Right.
So like,
Right.
the more clout you had, the more trustworthy you were in some sense, and we could expedite you being signed, and and for our obviously they have a large clout score because they're constantly trading tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars per day, depending on the ARB. But there might be we actually might even remove the clout score into the future at some point. Maybe we'll keep it. I don't know. Like it has less of a like we've already kind of configured the outbound queue to be a lot less or a lot smaller than it used to be. So that obviously that just inherently makes the clout score even less valuable or useful. So there's a possibility we might actually just take it off. Of that. Somebody asked in the group chat about like who's taking the risk for the zero conf BTC. Nobody's really taking the risk. You didn't really need to, because how it works is we start executing the trade when we see the Bitcoin trade in the mempool, and we start kind of like streaming swap the transaction, but we don't send out the outbound until the inbound has been confirmed. So there's no risk of losing the money, so to speak. But worst case scenario, something happens and the mempool that never gets into a block or something like this, like something happens like that. Then we just take the trade and just trade it back to the Bitcoin that we didn't receive, and just kind of reverse the swap back to its original kind of position. It's not like a huge deal. And from a security perspective, we're going to put a cap in that feature of like limiting the amount of capital total we will allow to use this feature at any given time. Like whether it be like $5,000 to start or $10,000 to start, keep it small, and we can expand it later on to be $100,000 or any arbitrary number. I'll definitely start small and to test the feature out and expand it as we have more confidence in its safety and whatnot. But I don't think there's no risk being taken on by the protocol, because we're not sending the outbound until the inbound has been confirmed.
Badass. 2026 is just a banger year, and it's barely March, bro. I am losing my mind over here. I had another question on here. So the intents will work only on TC supported chains, right? No other way?
Yes, it only works with TC supported chains. But we want to add more chains where we got Solana, Zcash, Polygon, Sui, Ton, tons of chains coming down the pipeline, and we're trying to get. That's why we have like a dedicated chain team right at this point. We have like these two people who are constantly just working on just adding more chains to kind of to increase the quantity of routes that we can have. So I'm not terribly worried about it. Like especially in the short term, like each chain you add has less and less return on an investment. There's diminishing returns with every chain that you add, right? Because like you just get to more and more kind of long tailed chains or assets that like fewer and fewer people have any interest in actually trading with. But yes, you have to, the caveat is it has to be, both assets have to be assets and chains that we already support. And of the two assets you're trading on with the intents, one of them has to be like a pooled asset, right? Either Rune or Bitcoin or Ethereum or like, something like this. You can't go from like random, ERC20 to random ERC20. And the reason why that is because we don't really know the value of those two tokens. And because we don't know the value or can get like we want to collect, the network wants to collect some bips, some fees on the intense trading, right? And we don't know how much to take, right? We don't know how to cash in. If you gave THORChain some random ERC20, like, oh, how can it give it to the validators? It's got to be able to trade that random ERC20 token to Rune in order to pay out the validators. But if both tokens are tokens that the network doesn't really have a liquidity pool for, then how are you going to do it? Now, you could do it with an intent on top of intent, meaning that you use somebody does an intent from two random tokens. We have no idea how they are. And then another intent is used. You grab like 15 bips relative to these assets. And then you grab this new thing. You have a second intent going from that to Rune. But then it becomes like, oh, I really can do another intent for like, $10 or not even $10.
Right, right.
It's probably like more, more complexity than it's actually worth, I would presume. So I guess for starters, at least, we can always change it later. But the requirements are both assets have to be chains that are supported, and one of the two assets have to be a pooled asset.
Gotcha. Okay. And then I guess your name's Zamboner. I don't know. Zamboner, he had a follow up on the zero conf. He says, what about reorg? It's not just about mempool picking the text, I guess.
Yeah. So reorg is, before this feature even is implemented, reorg is a thing, right? Like we already have mechanisms in place. That's why we have conf counting, right? And we have errata transactions and that kind of thing. So we are at no more at risk of that than we are today, right? So any issue we have about reorgs within the context of this zero conf trading thing, it's no different than what it is right now. There's no more risk than what we have today. But we already have, like, for Bitcoin, we just do one conf because Bitcoin's like, you can't really reorg Bitcoin. It's like crazy hard to do. Like it's almost impossible. Other chains, we do more confs than that, right? I think for Ethereum, I think we do two confs, for example. I think that's all you really need for Ethereum. Yeah, I don't really consider it to be any more risky than what we already have today.
There you go. There's the answer to your question. Very good. Okay, cool. We're coming on the hour, guys. Just as a reminder, please, this show, nothing is financial advice. Please do your own research when it comes to making any investment whatsoever. But I will say THORChain's freaking awesome, and I will die on that hill 100%. THORChain is the best protocol ever. I love THORChain so much. Connecting all the chains and liberating the world at the same time. Hello, that's what we're doing here. That's what we're going to do. Very cool, Chad. Okay, I don't think I have too many more questions. Is there anything else you think we've missed at all that you want to cover? It sounds like you've got lots you're working on. You're pretty busy. Love what you're doing so far. So yeah, man, awesome.
Couple things in the pipeline I think people might be interested in. We're working on a way for the community to be able to see who the source is of chain data from each individual validator, right? Historically, didn't really matter because everybody's getting their data from, a local, like a local chain daemon. But with Solana, that changes a bit because, I would say a majority of people are not running their own Solana daemons anymore because Solana is such a heavy daemon to run. But we also want to be able to have the clarity and the transparency so the community can verify that whoever we're getting the Solana data from is not too much on a one validator, one chain data provider, right? Let's just call it like Anchor, for example. And because if we did, then we would have a potential cyber attack situation, and we obviously don't like cyber attacks for obvious reasons. But so now we can once this feature is merged, we'll be able to publicly verify, if chains are using the same source of data to alert everybody, hey, we're too heavy on this provider, we need to change or move or whatever it might be. I think that's one thing. And then what else is it? And variants to be working on. That's not so exciting though. ERC20s for memoless support. That's going to probably roll out once router v6 is done. Router v6 has been running on StageNet for a couple of weeks, I think. So far, so good. We're gonna have a slow rollout that on the mainnet. We're gonna start with like the lowest TVL EVM chain we have, which is I think is base, and then like every like 2 weeks, just kind of roll out another chain to kind of like have a slow rollout of the new router. And then once the router is fully out, we'll be able to turn on ERC20 memoless support, which would be nice. The other thing that's really funny, actually, I I have a PR open just to backfill unit tests, and that sounds really boring, and it is in a sense. But what makes it so funny is that this PR so far is like 46,000 lines of code that was like
Whoa.
generated like overnight. I ran something called a Ralph loop, and I'm not going to get into the technical what that means, but I basically had Claude Code, just backfill unit tests like literally all night long. This is partially why I burned all my tokens for the week. And it just like literally just like, and it's created like 120 new unit tests. It's modified 80. It's I don't know. It's a huge amount of code for obvious reasons, and so it's a great way of like I say how Cloud Code kind of raises the code quality. Right, I mentioned that earlier in the conversation. Like that, this is an example of that. Like it just creates better code quality by just having more, thorough and more deeper unit tests. And I'll probably do the same for regression tests, in the future as well when I have, the spare cycles to do so. But like it's kind of a funny thing, like probably the largest PR in THORChain's history, which is almost 50,000 lines of code in a single change. For comparison, like when I used to like write code by hand, like my target, my PR size in general would be about 300 lines. that's like the target where I would usually shoot for. And if I got more than that, I usually break up into multiple PRs, so that's easier to read and for people to read and verify. For unit tests, you don't need to read and verify so much because it's just unit tests. It's either they
Right.
pass or don't. It's not that big of a deal. But it's
Right.
just kind of funny. It's like 50,000 lines of code change is like kind of like an absurd amount. But I'll take it. It's like it's going to help the protocol for sure.
Yeah, that's just, I mean, that breaks things. That's like exponential. Like, that would take you so much time to do all that, obviously. And
Yeah,
what
it
it
would,
sounds
it
like,
would have taken me weeks, if not months, to have done that by hand. So that this is where AI shines. It's probably the most is like just backfilling unit tests.
and he did that overnight, Huginn?
Yeah, I think it took about like probably like 12 hours. I'm gonna guess something like that, 12 or 16 hours, something in that area. Just like continuously, just like writing, testing, writing, testing. It's pretty remarkable.
I have that is remarkable. It's absolutely incredible. That's such a game changer. Guys, I can't emphasize that's just amazing. I do have a question I found. Someone didn't use the chat, but I'll ask their question anyway. They're trying to distract me. They want to know your opinion of ADR 24, some revenue to the POL and deprecating LPs. You have any opinions on that, Chad?
I haven't actually read ADR 24 to be honest with you, so I'm sure if I have a strong opinion on it because I haven't know the details. But the synopsis is to uh to what is it?
Take
What
a
is ADR?
percentage of revenue and dedicate that as a siphon to liquidity pools, probably controlled by Mimir by nodes. I'm thinking I have to. I'm sorry, Boone. I should have read it more closely. Exactly what you said, but basically a static supply, a steady supply, not static, of two various pools. To basically increase our own depth of the pools with some POL. Maybe
Well,
that's you split the burn in half, 2.5%, 2.5% POL burn. Go ahead.
well, the POL. So my apologies to Boone who maybe wrote the ADR. I haven't read yet, but um the POL is a liquidity provider, right? It is an LP. So any money that it makes goes into the pools, right? It's part of it. It's like, so it's already contributing 100% back into the pools right now, right? So if you're talking about the 5% burn, that's something separate from the POL.
Right.
That's, something on top of it we kind of like take out, and then we, um,
It would be
So,
redirected. It would be the revenue. Like you would take, maybe you would add just a 5% of just additional, and maybe you take that away from bond or notes, or maybe you would change the burn. You would just have an official stream of revenue going straight to POL to make pools deeper.
oh, see. So it's taking out us. Okay, I got what you're saying. So,
Yeah,
so because of right now, almost all the system income is going to the nodes, right? Very little of the system income is going to the LPs, and the POL is one of the LPs. So it's not POL is not really making much money, in the current moment. If you want to like cut out, let's call it 10% of the system income, and then donate it into the POL so that it does that. Yeah, you could do something like that. Yeah, you could. I think like um, I would be more interested to think about the incentive pendulum and how it's designed, because the way it's designed originally, I don't think no longer kind of makes sense in the
right.
way we think about the pools and security and all these things. It no longer just kind of fits. It doesn't like it's a puzzle piece that doesn't really quite fit in the right place. So I'd be more interested in thinking about, instead of like taking out 10% and just like giving it to LPs, maybe there's a different kind of mechanism that has the incentive pendulum to balance the income of the LPs versus the nodes. I don't know what that would be off the top of my head. I'd have to spend some time kind of brainstorming and thinking about it. That would be, to me, kind of a cleaner way of doing it, possibly
Right.
cleaner. Maybe it's more complicated and not cleaner at all. But like I'd be open to kind of thinking about that.
Yeah,
Um,
if I remember correctly, the incentive pendulum, it basically is would be deprecated at that point. It would just be a straight
right.
percentage yield, and then the point that Pragmatic Monkey, he really likes the idea, because he says the deeper the pools are, the more THORChain makes just on arbitrage alone, because it takes more capital to rebalance the pools. So there's kind of like a compounding effect where if you have POL, let's say, go to a shallow pool like Solana's shallow, and you take 100,000 death pool to a 500,000 or $1 million set pool, the arbitrage alone, that volume, would be huge. And then of course that's even more POL from those additional fees that gets into the POL, and so it's like a flywheel at that point.
It is. The negative though, it's like this might be a hard sell for nodes, right? Because what you're trying to tell nodes is this: you're saying, you guys, which nodes don't make that much money relative to its history. Like I think a node right now is like 5% of system income is like $50,000, $70,000, somewhere in that range currently. So you're basically asking nodes like, hey, take 10% of what you're making right now on running a validator, and I want you to donate it to the protocol. Right. That's effectively what you're trying to convince the nodes, and which the nodes are the ones who are voting on this, by the way. Right.
Right.
So that might be a hard sell to tell nodes, like, why don't you just donate 10% of your income, just give it to the protocol? Like that might be a difficult sell. I don't know. I'm open to discussing it in having a conversation about that kind of stuff, but it might be hard to sell nodes.
Boone joined the live stream. Hi, Boone. It says you are in portrait. It would be happy for your landscape. I don't care. It's fine. How's it going, Boone? What you got for us, buddy?
Good. I'm at the gym, so I'm just gonna leave my camera off if that's all
No,
right.
you're fine, brother.
I want to see your
Yeah.
biceps. Can we all just
Oh,
sit
wait,
here and just watch Boone
hold
just
on.
just
How
Look
do
at
bench
I
that
do
press?
handsome
this?
guy.
Look at
Wait a
that.
minute.
I
How do
want
I
to
turn
see you
my
doing
camera
squats. I
around?
want to see you doing
How do
bench
I turn the
presses.
camera around in this? I have no idea.
I don't know. Dude, you're good. Go
All right,
ahead. What
whatever.
do you got for us, brother? Yeah.
Well, no, I just I think there was some lack of clarity around my proposal, and yeah, so Chad, it's specifically to direct revenue to, like, it would be a new form of POL, so it's not the previous, like, POL from the reserves, nor it's the treasury liquidity. And so basically it just, the problem I'm attempting to address is that because of the current design of the incentive pendulum, there is no incentive to LP. So there's no incentive to deepen the pools. And so right now the treasury is making up that shortfall, but it has limited funds. They're not infinite. And yeah, it's just, eventually we're going to run out. And also perhaps that capital could be put to better uses than seeding pools. And so the basic idea is to, instead of trying to rent liquidity by incentivizing people to loan their liquidity to the protocol by way of depositing the LP pools. Instead, we invest that same money that we were spending on LP rewards into owning liquidity in the pools, which would compound over time, as you guys just went over. And then the ADR that I submitted specifically doesn't address like deprecating LPs. I do think it's the right move, but like it doesn't necessitate that. Instead, it's just two new Mamirs. One is BIPs to POL, so just a certain number of basis point deposited of revenue towards POL, and then the other would just be which pool. It currently says unsent pools to avoid that whole fiasco. But like, so for example, you could point it at sol.sol, and X% of system income would just go into deepening the sol pool over time. So that's the basic idea.
Yeah. I mean, you could definitely do that. Because like, if you're gonna say like, let's call it 10% of system income, that's currently like $100,000, approximately $100,000 per month at our current kind of rates. Like last time I looked, it was current rates. It's not like a huge amount of money. Over a year, that's like $1.2 million. But if the room price were to increase by like 1%, which we see that happening in one direction or the other direction, like on the daily, that would probably contribute more to the pools, just by rooms price going up 1% than in an entire year of 10% of the system income going to it. So it's like, if we don't do what you're suggesting, the pools will deepen on their own over time just by rooms price moving in one direction. Right now, it's like pretty depressed, with the room price being where it is and the market price being where it is, like the market, just a general market being where it is. But like in a more bullish times period, the pools will grow to like hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars without taking out this 10%, just by lieu of the price of Rune or Bitcoin or any of the other assets into the network.
Bone, did you catch that?
Sorry. Yeah, it's fine.
Don't interrupt.
Okay,
Don't interrupt his squats.
But I mean, I don't disagree. Like I said, I don't see how they're opposite. Like,
I would say
if POL deepens the pools and the Rune price goes up, then the pools are that much bigger. Like, yeah.
Yes, I wouldn't say it's like necessarily opposites or whatever, but like you have to convince nodes who are now getting that yield, like they're putting it in their pockets, right now, and you have to convince them that you should reduce your income by 10%, and then the node's going to like naturally ask, like, well, what am I getting out of donating 10% of my income to the protocol? Yes, the pools are deeper, which is positive for the protocol, but like, am I really going to get back more than the 10% that I'm giving? Right? Am I going to lose money in this whole thing? When it comes to the end of the day, yes, the pools are getting a little bit deeper, but that mean that my Rune, that the other 90% that I'm earning is going to go higher in value or price because of those depths of those pools. That's a hard argument to have, right? It's like it's pretty a hearsay to know whether that's gonna be worth the money from the node's perspective or not.
I mean, sure. I'm not really trying to like argue, but and so the design of my ADR leaves it up to the nodes. They can vote via Mimir how much percentage of revenue they want to give to POL. It can be 0, right? Like, it just gives them an option.
You can do that too. Like, we can have a new configuration for the nodes, right? Each individual node can say, like, I opt into a 9%, donation to the pools, to the POL basically. And each individual node can make that choice for themselves rather than like getting 2/3 majority to vote and approve of whatever this ADR is. You could just like add a new feature that says, hey, node operator, do you want to donate some of your income to the protocol? And then you just, can like, 10,000 bips or 9,000 bips or 1,000 bips or whatever, how many bips you want to do. And it'll just like whatever income it makes, it just like, instead of giving it to itself, it just shuns it over to the POL's module instead of the bond module. You could do that.
Yeah, that's another option. I mean, there's infinite options.
That would achieve the same thing without requiring consensus, or even an ADR by that point.
Yeah, but then you're you're getting into game theory where like anyone, if I'm donating and you're not donating, then I'm just a sucker. Like you're making money off my donation, I'm losing money if I'm donating and you're not. It just makes sense
Right.
for everyone to donate the same amount.
Correct. But then they need to get 2/3 majority to agree to donate 10%. I think that would just be hard to achieve that goal.
Well,
Personally,
they can vote for 1% or whatever percent. It doesn't have to be 10.
They can vote for 10. They can vote for 1. Yeah, but but at the same time, it's like if you really want to see money donated into the protocol, then to be honest, like I would think a better allocation of that honestly is donating that 10% to the treasury, because the treasury doesn't really have a source of income other than operating nodes, but oftentimes those operation of those nodes, the treasury doesn't get the rewards of that. Some community member does who's contributing to the protocol, and like having an income for the treasury so that we have a long-term ability to for solvency in the treasury to make sure there's always enough money in the treasury to pay developers and marketing and dashboards and whatever else out there. Like that would be probably a better allocation of that capital, to be honest, than just donating to the pools, in my opinion.
I mean, but it's kind of same, right? So right now the treasury has a lot of liquidity in the pools, and if this POL can enter liquidity into the pools, and the treasury can pull its liquidity out of the pools. So it's kind of same.
I actually don't know off the top of my head how much the treasury has in the pools.
It's a lot.
Is it?
Yeah, if you go to Rune Tools, like Cal's dashboard, they hit the whole treasury page. You can look at their LP setup.
I'll try and bring it up real quick. What's it under, Boone? Can you remind me? It's
Rune Tools and then the treasury dashboard.
Okay. All right, here we go.
Loading balances.
Yeah, screen.
Treasury value 6.2 million. It says. Locked LP value 2.5 million.
Yeah, there it is. Yep.
According
to this. You can see people at home. You can see on your screen there. I'll zoom in a little bit. This is a very interesting conversation. Gosh dang it, I'm silly. I picked the wrong one there. I'll scroll here for people to see at home. Go ahead.
And again, I'm not really trying to I'm not trying to argue, but I'll throw out one last little fact, and then I'll get back to my workout. But I recently shared a chart in the main channel of the dev Discord that just tracks the proportion of rewards to either LPs or BPs over time. And if you do it since mainnet was declared, it was like 22 to 78. So bonds got 78% of rewards over that time, and LPs got 22%, which is basically what I'm suggesting. Just to continue that trend, essentially, of giving the pools 20% of the system income, which is what we've done historically. So it's really not even big of a change.
Yeah.
The thing that the only thing that my brain likes about it, I think of it's not the same thing, but I think of like a dividend stock, right? So I used to do that back in the day. You have a dividend that reinvests itself. If you have POL that goes into a pool and arbitrage, if in the market's very dynamic, because the pool's deeper, you're getting more fees because there's more arbitrage going there. And so then that's more revenue overall, which then leads to more POL, which then deepens the pools even more and blah, 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 blah. So it's kind of like a longer term play, for sure. I think it's interesting. I'm curious, like what Chad says, what the nodes think, you know what I mean? Because I'd be really curious their opinion on this. So if you're a node operator and you see this, whether it's live or recording, share your thoughts, please. And in the ADR and Dev Discord, let's get a conversation going. Maybe strike a middle ground, or yes or no, or, because interesting conversation for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And Boone, you've got a lot of people in the audience who say you're one sexy guy. We got a quick look at you, dude. Quick look at you, buddy. So all manned out, muscles, you're sweating, you got the pheromones pumping out of your body, dude. I think you've got some boyfriends. I don't know if you swing that way, bro.
There's some ladies hitting on Boone right now. That's why he's muted. He's got these girls hitting on him, asking for his number.
Oh yeah, girls come up. Are you talking about THORChain?
Of course. We all know that's how women get hot and bothered. How much room? Tell me more
Hey.
about Rune.
That's the goal, boys. That's the goal. Where the girls know about THORChain. And if that's when, dude, like you running around your Lambo with the THORChain symbol on it, and that's if the ladies like you will know that's how we've succeeded. Like, oh, I've heard about THORChain.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
happens to me all the time when I went on a first date. You know.
You want
Oh,
to
tell me
you want
more
to talk
about the
about
incentive pendulum. Happens all the time.
Ooh, this economic doctrine talks just get me hot and bothered. Oh, tell me more. Yeah, exactly.
Let's talk
Very
about
cool.
cryptography.
Yeah, all right, exactly. We're such nerds, but you know what? It's pretty cool when you guys break it down. I mean, this shit's fascinating to me. Let me check the thing here. Someone random. So I wouldn't mind taking another 5% from block. Was that block rewards? The POL? What's
Yeah.
BR?
Like block rewards. Yeah.
Yeah, that's too much. And then additionally, just the burn alone is already starting at 4% POL, 1% burn. Changes nothing for the no. There's a lot of ways you guys can do it. I mean, yeah, you could do. Some people
I mean,
want to keep
I would
it
be down. I would vote for getting rid
burn
of the
to P-
burn
yeah,
and
to
just
POL.
giving it to the POL. Like that would, to me, that's a much better
Yeah,
allocation of resources. That's to me, that's almost like an obvious yes, because burning is you're reallocating 5% of that income to every rune holder in the world, whether
right.
you're active participant of the network or you're just like sitting in cold storage. And going directly into the POL with that 5% is a much better allocation of those resources. I would be totally down for that.
Yeah, I agree. I am totally down for that too. Some people are just adamant about keeping the burn, so I get it. They love that burn. Maybe there is some like higher play where people just, there's just so much marketability with the word burn, and so maybe I get that, but I mean, we've been doing the burn for a while now. We're over, I think, a year at this point. I might be wrong about that. Don't sorry. We're above 1.5 million rune burned. I think it's a decent amount of time. I know we try not to make too many economic changes too quickly. We want to do it gradually so we get good data. If there was going to be a change, I agree, Chad. I would love to see that liquidity go into the pool, deepen THORChain, increase the TVL. That just sounds like a win to me. So, but that's my opinion.
The one of the ironies here is that like the quantity of rune burned should go like burnt per block will go down the better rune is performing. Even though we produce more fees and whatnot, the rune price is increasing in the hypothetical future, and therefore the amount of rune that gets burnt is less. So like the quantity of rune being burnt right now is relatively speaking very high because the rune price is so low, even though the system income is also relatively low from what it would look like in a more bullish market. So yeah, 1.2 million, I think the number you just said, that's been burned. Like if we were to go into a bear market for the next year, we would probably burn a lot less than 1.2 million. We'd probably burn, I don't know, that I couldn't even guesstimate it, but less than 1.2 for sure.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I agree. It makes sense to me. That's what I personally, someone says, burn the burn. Well, brun the burn, Estonians. They don't know how to do English. Poor guy.
This is how we got HODL, right? Just typos, right?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
That's how HODL came. It's like, I think it's a Reddit post in like 2011 or something like that. That's when
And it just
said
stuck.
hold, but they just like typoed it HODL, and it just obviously just caught wind.
Yeah, that's awesome. Estonians making new lingo. Boone, are you trying to say something? Your mic.
Oh, I was just gonna echo you. I mean, Danny, you asked me to write up this ADR, so
I did. I did. Well,
yeah,
people keep asking me. People ask me, they're like, "Oh, when are we gonna do POL at?" And I was like, "Boone, maybe you should write something up because everyone keeps asking me." So yes, I was the one that asked Boone.
And a lot of this is downstream of a Twitter post I made last year, which was suggesting just repurposing the burn towards POL, just because it's, in my opinion, and I'm glad you guys agree, just a far better use of that revenue. It's not 1-to-1, but it's also functionally like kind of half of a burn, right? Because half of that revenue goes into a locked liquidity pool that wouldn't re-enter circulation. Now, there's a big caveat, of course, because it's a XKY pool, and as the prices rebalance, Rune will enter and exit that pool. So it's not a static, half of POL would be a burn, but it's still a burn. So you know, you can't argue it's not. It's there's some percent that will never re-enter circulation, and it'll earn income. It'll grow the pie. It'll snowball itself. I mean, to me, it's just a no-brainer. And I'm not trying to hijack this with a burn, no burn conversation, but yeah, that's where it all came from. And so like, it's just a superior use of that same money we're already doing. Like, instead of bribing people to hold Rune, which like may raise the price a little bit, like this is just directly increasing liquidity, which increases swap quality, so time and slippage amount, and so that you'll earn more swaps, and then the arbitrage income as well will go up. I mean, to me, it's just a no-brainer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you're not hijacking anything, Boone. We've talked about this numerous times on the live stream and prior, and it's in dev Discord. So this is, you know, the ADR is just, it is a product of just people talking about this all the time. And I appreciate you writing it up just to get this conversation moving. And
Yeah.
I agree. I think a POL ad is just better than a burn, but I know, so maybe do a bargain, guys. 2.5%, 2.4, anything. I think if we just get something in the POL, that'll at least move us in the right direction. So absolutely. Someone is requesting for you to show your abs, Boone. You do not have to do that, but
Wait. Why does Boone get to show his abs and not me? Well, I want clarification on this.
How do I turn around this camera?
what?
Okay.
Do we know?
I'm gonna turn my camera off because I'm just gonna be too jealous.
There we go.
Oh
yeah.
Pixelated abs, baby. Let's go.
Can Boone be the official hottie of THORChain protocol?
Oh man, I may be. Yeah, dude. We gotta get some lux. Go ahead, Boone.
For all you ladies watching, I'm 6'3" and 220.
Oh man.
He's got finance bro 620. What was that thing on socials like a few months ago? What is that, like finance bro 6 feet, trust fund, whatever the hell that thing was? Remember that?
I got brown eyes.
That's Boone, guys.
Yeah.
It's blue eyes, blue eyes, 6 feet, and trust, or I don't know. I can't remember what the hell the saying was.
Yeah. You got better genetics than myself. I'm 5'11". Like when I stand next to Chad, I look like a baby. Like it's incredible how tall he is and how tall you probably are. So, and by the way, guys, I forgot to mention Chad. So glad Boone came up. That reminds me. You guys, we are having a get together at BTC Las Vegas. I don't know if you can make that, Chad, but Kenton wants to organize something. Does anyone know a good software for just RVSP and just getting a aggregation of people who, you know, figure out who wants to come?
What's it called? Party time, or what is it called?
Party time?
Not party time. It's something like that, but that's not it. Particle. Yeah.
I don't know how to spell. Oh, that was a terrible way to spell. That's not right at all. I just phonetically typed out like a retard. Coke. Figure out that app. Bring it to me. Bring it to me, Estonian. That's what your job is right there. So,
PARTIFUL. Particle. FUL.
There we go. Okay, hopefully I did.
And
that right.
if you come, you can feel Boone's abs. If you come to Vegas, we'll put that as
well, we probably should we probably should charge for this. You know what I mean? We probably should have. We're
gonna charge Rune.
Tickets.
This is how we're gonna fund the treasury going forward. Is we're gonna
I'll share a
Boone's
tip
abs.
address. You guys can donate my Rune.
Donate some Rune.
We could do arm wrestling competitions. We could get some gambling going on. It's Las Vegas, you guys.
We gotta do the slap. You ever see the slap contest? You know what I'm talking about?
There you go.
We gotta do like a Rune slap contest, right? And you just like get two people and just slap each other. Whoever the first one to pass out loses.
This is just this is unbelievable. I love it. Yeah, and have an extra bet. Yes, absolutely. This is great, you guys. We're coming up with ideas. Whenever we all get together, we always have a fun time, guys. We've been through a lot this year, and where everyone's feeling good. Chad's feeling good. I'm feeling good. The volume's up. The PRs are shipping. Huginn's working. Let's all hang out, you guys. I think we've deserved some time to spend some time together and just really share our experience because it's been a wild year. Chad, you know, it's in April. I think it's April 27th, 29th or something like that. Do you know if by chance you can make it? No stress. I know you're busy. But...
Maybe. I check my schedule and I'm not sure off the top of my head, but I can make it. I'll try to make it.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, we're going to have a good time, guys. If anyone wants to go shooting or anything like that, I'll probably arrange something like that. Or if you want to just hang out and drink or whatever, smoke cigars
Hopefully
with
not
Kenton and
the
myself.
shooting and drinking at the same time. Hopefully
Yeah,
those
that would be less
those are
ideal.
separate, right?
Yes, that would be less ideal. It depends how crazy we get. We'll see what happens. You know what I mean?
We'll have different
But,
tracks: drinking track, shooting track, and
and slapping.
fireworks track, and then also a slap track.
Oh, that's gonna be fun. All right, this has been a super fun live stream. Then thank you guys, everybody, for your questions. Yeah, 27th, 28th, and 29th of April. Thank you very much, buddy. I appreciate you putting in. That is when the thing is. I don't know what day. We still have to arrange. We need a venue and a time and a date. We got to figure all that out, guys. So maybe just give us some tips, hintful if you guys want to go to a certain place. Kenton really wants to put this on, and I do too. I think it'd be great. So all right, Chad, did you have anything else? I think we're talking about abs and stuff. I think we're about exhausted on topics here.
I want to keep talking about abs.
There you go.
I want to see Boone's 8-pack.
There you
just
go.
kidding. No, I think that's about it for me. And I'll see everybody next Thursday. We'll be here again.
Yeah, me too. Boone, did you have any final words? And then if not, I'm gonna go ahead and do the outro, and we'll call it good.
No, I'm super bullish on where the protocol is going. It's great to have Solana back. I'm very excited for rapid swaps. So hopefully all the kinks have been worked out of that. Oh, actually, I will take a tiny soapbox here. So often people celebrate as soon as we ship something, and then inevitably there's some hold on, we gotta fix this. Let's all slow down a little bit. Let's not hype things up until all the kinks have been worked out, right? So let's not hype up Sol until Sol's solid. Just a general request for the whole community, just to slow down a little bit. So we don't the TC intern, the THORChain Twitter handle was celebrating Sol, and it was turned off. That's just a bad look.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
fair enough. Yeah, I think that's a fair criticism, and that was forwarded to them, and they are aware of it. I think what they do, those guys are busy. They do all kinds of articles and stuff, and they have tweets that are in a queue and lined up. But
yeah,
they do need.
I understand,
Yeah,
but it's
they need to
still
take
not
a second though.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, they need to take a second just to double check that things are solid before they push submit. Right? Yeah, that's good criticism, and it was forwarded to them. Thank you for that, Boone. And others have been saying that as well. So we want to be better. We're gonna be better, guys. So we're growing in maturity and sophistication.
Yeah, just okay. Everybody, yeah.
Yes.
Just the whole community is just slow down. There's always unforeseen problems. Let's just wait to make sure things are worked out first, right?
Absolutely. Go work out instead of saying things like that, you guys. You got to get on Boone's level, guys. Come on, get that 8-pack though. I want a bunch of bodybuilders on THORChain. How badass would that be? You know what I mean? To come to Vegas and everyone's just you know what I mean?
Everyone is jacked.
They got the spandex. They're all oiled up. You know what I mean? They got that fake tan on, dude. Just and they've got rune symbols all over their body, dude. Let's do it. Let's go. You guys.
And then the guy from Chain Flips looks like the kid from the Wimpy Kid Diary, bunch of jack dudes and with THORChain logo T-shirts, and there's one guy with chain flipping. He looks like the kid from the Diary of a Wimpy Kid,
Shots fired! Shots fired! I love it.
Chain flip. Okay. I'm just joking with you. Don't get too offended. I'm just kidding.
We're all having fun here, guys.
We're all
just having fun, but shots fired. I love it. It's great. Okay, you guys. So this weekend on Saturday, we're gonna have this BTC and Monero whale guy, Adam Bitcoin. I've been interacting with him. This is going to be a wild live stream, you guys. I don't know what's going to happen, but this guy's really eccentric and he's fun. So I'm really excited to have him on there. And then, of course, next Thursday, as Chad said, we're going to do the show every Thursday. Have a good time, guys. I love this show. It's so much fun. And it's always more fun when we're just kicking ass. And that's exactly what we're doing. We are kicking ass. Always remember, guys, all the views expressed are solely based on the host and guest. Any action taken based on information is at your own risk. Past performance is not indicative of future results. And lastly, guys, for the THORChain data and insights, follow at Ray Analytics, RAYNALYTIC on X. He does all kinds of recaps for these shows. If you do not have time to watch the whole thing, I totally get it. So please do that as well. And Chad, I'm not going to ask any more about the Go developer. Sounds like that process is over, right? You're not hiring anymore?
For the time being, but I am interested in hiring more in the future, but just not in this current moment.
None this time. Okay, we'll
Yeah.
put that on the back burner and we'll take it there, guys. And and one more thing, guys. If anyone's out there wants to be a node operator, please reach out to @Runtard on X, and we'll get you set up. We'll get you bond providers. We want to increase the decentralization of the network. You guys have seen how bullish THORChain is. Now, if you want to be a node operator, there's not going to be a better time with Rune at this price. So get in there, learn. We will help you. We want you. Please join. And that's going to be it, you guys. Chad, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I hope everyone has a great rest of your week. We will see you Saturday. Bye, everybody.